People are coming to America because they see it as the promised land. The pursuit of happiness meant we don't know what does it for you. You need to figure that out. It's just incredible when you unleash people with talent and skills in a free market.
You are the president, Daniel Garza, of the Libre initiative. If you were given the elevator pitch, what is it?
The Libre initiative really is an organization that engages the Latino community across the country, mobilizes them around the issues that honor and uphold our America's founding principles. And really, it's about advancing a freedom agenda and, of course, lessening the burden that government imposes on its people so that we reverse the centralization of power and money and control that we're concentrating in Washington, D.C. back to the individual.
Is it the argument that the Latino community needs to have a larger voice in what goes on in immigration? Or is it the idea that there are far more voices within a quote unquote Latino community that aren't getting enough play?
I think what's going to be important here is that the Latino community, one, have a balanced approach to what are the policy initiatives that are going to resolve or mitigate, our immigration crisis. And that means balancing the call for legal channels that can address market forces, labor demand, reunify families, while at the same time enhancing border security so that we get to control the irregular flow of folks that are coming in. We decide who comes into our country, under what conditions, and what number. And right now, we don't have that operational control.
For a lot of people, you get told via the press that there is a monolithic thought process to the idea of immigration. And the very concept of the Libre initiative, I think just when you see it exist, is to say that's just not the case.
That's right. That is not the case. Look, I think we also have to have an honest conversation about what is inducing this immigration crisis. One is bad policy, but also it is the ravages of socialism and leftism in throughout, the Caribbean, Central America, and South America, and Mexico. People are coming to America because they see it as the promised land where we honor the freedoms that are enshrined in our founding charters, the economic opportunities that we have because of our free market system that allows for us to accommodate flows of millions and millions of poor immigrants throughout our history, and allows them to, of course, create their own wealth and wealth for others, as millions have done. The concept of the rule of law is real in America. It's eroding, but it's real, and of course that you have relative security in America. All these are inducements, right? It's a magnet that pulls people. But there is a push factor that is also occurring at the same time. And it is causing this influx at the border that this administration doesn't have the will to address.
So let's break it down into these component pieces, right? What is the draw for people to come to the United States? There's an economic argument. People want to make a living. They want money. There is a political argument. Where they live is not as good as here, even though we see the political strife in the United States. And then there is the argument, why wouldn't you want to come to America? You're going to get handed everything on a silver platter. Which one is the biggest draw? And if I haven't hit it in those three, what is the fourth?
Don't underestimate, I think, the value of freedoms, the freedoms that we have: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the freedom to possess arms to protect your family, the freedom of assembly, the freedom to petition, your elected leadership. All these things have been eroded throughout South America. And look, we're not doing that well either, to be honest with you, when it comes to these issues. All the way from Canada to the tip of Argentina, the entire Western Hemisphere is left of center, when it comes to leadership right now. So many of us are trying to fix that. But relatively speaking, in comparison, America still remains a free country, a free people, with our freedoms, that we have because we continue to defend our Constitution. We are fighting hard at the Libre Initiative to make of the Latino community a vanguard for those freedoms, that they engage in a very real way and petition their elected leadership, that we want to uphold those freedoms, not erode them. And if people are coming to America, it is because they believe in those freedoms and they see that it creates a better life for them and a better economic life. When people in South America turn on their television and they see Hollywood movies, they see an America that is really a prosperous country, a strong country. They don't see welfare. They don't see, the giveaways. When they get here, that's what the left is offering them. And that's the mistake that's happening right now, is that, part of our political system is offering them an easy path that really actually ends up with mediocrity, a life not worth living. And the other side is offering them a shot at opportunity, an equal opportunity in America to lift yourself up from the bootstraps, to leverage your talents and your skills and your hard work and make something of yourself that is purposeful, that has merit to it, because you created it. It's the American dream. That's the promise that we sell, for us who are conservative, right? Who believe in the American dream. But they can be sold a bad bill of what you're talking about, the freebies and the welfare and whatever. And that's what we're trying to steer people away from. The left wants control. The left wants people dependent on the federal government. What we need to offer them is not, redistributing somebody else's earned wealth, for their benefit, but redistributing knowledge and opportunity.
How do you go about pushing policies that allow for legal immigration, that don't engage what Americans would call the handout,
Yep.
and appeal to not only American sensibilities of what you need to do to be an American, but those people who want a better life of what they want to aspire to? How does one engage that?
Well, Tony, it's going to take hard work. It means going into the communities and connecting with people in their churches, in their chamber of commerces, in their community centers, and having policy discussions like we're going to be having tomorrow, a Libre policy forum here in Miami. We're going to be talking about post-debate on the kind of policies, that we need to be driving forward, and who these candidates need to be talking about when it comes to the priorities of the Latino community. You need to engage with the Latino community one-on-one and just have these conversations. If you think they're going to pick up, conservative ideas or limited government ideas through osmosis, or through the blood or something, it doesn't happen. It happens through communicating ideas. And whether that's on Spanish language television, or whether that's on mainstream television, or in their communities or their churches, if that's what it takes, that's what we're doing. But we'd love to do it at a larger scale. And I really wish that the Republican Party would get on board and do more engagement than they have in the past. I think they've been suffering, the lack of support of the Latino community, because they just assume these things. Look, Ronald Reagan said freedom doesn't pass on through the blood. It passes on from one generation to the next. And it's no different in the Latino community.
If you listen to American press, this is the most oppressive, horrific country the world has ever known. Right. And everybody's a bigot at every second. But yet people still come. When we talk about socialism, do you think in the United States we have a real understanding of exactly how oppressive it is in a place like Venezuela or other Latin or Southern American countries?
No, because, for instance, in the Latino community, for decades, I sort of referred to this a little bit ago, we had a one-sided conversation in the Latino community, and it was left of center. It was controlled by Spanish language television, by unions, by university professors, by nonprofit Latino organizations that took money from the government and then came around during election time and reminded them who gave them, these freebies, and vote for the person, who made this happen, which was a Democrat. Hollywood, celebrities, social media, all left. And we stayed away from minority communities for far too long. The tide is turning, and you're starting to see these shifts in the election. Why? Because candidates are starting to engage with the Latino community. Look, I believe that as somebody who is an advocate for policy, or even a political candidate, you need to get across two sentiments to anybody, because it transcends. One is that you care about them, because if you don't care about them, then nothing else you say matters. And you show you care by showing up, by listening to what their priorities are and addressing them. And number two, it's like you care, but your ideas are superior. You have the better ideas. Please explain to me how voting for you is going to make my life better. And so you need to get across those two sentiments. And I think our side has done a horrible job of doing that for too long. And it's time that changed.
If you were advising, whether it be the Republican Party or a specific candidate, what is the statement that you advise they make that would get Americans to understand what it is you're describing, whether it's about outreach or whether it's about why how we have to change the conversation about why people are coming to the United States to begin with.
That you believe in people, that you believe that they have extraordinary capabilities, that you are willing to reverse the centralization of power and money control in the hands of politicians in DC, that you stop working for the aspirations of a politician and start working for your own aspirations. And look, when our founding fathers created this country and authored that beautiful document where it said we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of happiness meant we don't know what does it for you. You need to figure that out. And for millions of Americans, they did figure that out. What gave them purpose in life, where they could leverage their skills and talents to create value for themselves and wealth for themselves, and then pass it on to others and create wealth for others as well. By creating a product or a service that people wanted and was in demand, and people rewarded you with their money for that. That's our free market system. It's just incredible when you unleash people with talent and skills in a free market.
Daniel Garza, president of the Libre Initiative. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the opportunity.